Greetings, all frog here. I don't even know how to do this intro because I haven't done one of these yet. I always meant to, and I never got around to it. This is what is Vassal? Well, Vassal themselves say Vassal is a game engine for building and playing online adaptations of board games and card games. Play live on the internet or by email. Vassal runs on all platforms and is free open source software. So this is Vassal. Vassal is just what it said it is. It is available at vassalengine.org. The link will be down below in the description, of course. And the whole purpose of this video is to get you acquainted with both Vassal and Battlestar Galactica, the board game, before we start playing it tomorrow. Because tomorrow, at this same time, assuming that you watch this at the same time tomorrow, we will be going live with a multiplayer version of a board game night, Battlestar Galactica. I'm really excited about that. We will talk about that more after we introduce the whole engine for you. So you can get Vassal, as I mentioned, at vassalengine.org, vassalengine.org, and it will get you there. So you can see already it's set up for me. You can download it for Linux. Linux users, it's a little more complicated for you to get set up just because there's no automatic install on any of the Linux systems, because it's a simple shell script. So chances are good, if you're using Linux and you've used Linux for a while, it will be very easy for you. Basically, it's a tarball with a bzip2, so you unarchive the bzip2 tarball into the directory of your choice. Mine is just under my home directory. I've created a subdirectory called Vassal, and I just extracted the tarball into that, and then you just run the shell script. There's a Vassal shell script. It's just vassal.sh, and it's awesome. Works really well, really easily. Excuse me, I'll be drinking white cranberry raspberry today. And if you have other operating systems, of course, you can download it for any of these places. So you can get a disk image for Mac OS X. There's an installer for Windows. You can get all those things. You can get the source code if you want to build it yourself, which is kind of crazy. The one thing that is important for all operating systems to know is that you have to have a Java runtime environment installed, and it has to be 5 or later. For most computers, certainly modern computers, this won't be an issue. I did have to install it on my version, so Ubuntu 15.04 doesn't come with it out of the box, and you can tell how much I needed it because I didn't have to install it until just now. So it's been 7 months since I built this computer, I think, and I've never needed it until now. So it's very easy to get, though, and it's telling you how to use it on Fedora and Ubuntu. You could do that, or frankly, it's in the package manager. So just open up the Synaptic package manager and select Java runtime, and you've got it. For the Mac OS X and Windows, it's pretty simple. The Vassal is the installer for Windows will check if there's Java, and if not, it'll try and install it. So that's good. Mac OS X already has Java by default, but as it says here, if you're using something before 10.3, there is no Java 5 version, so you're going to have to upgrade. Sorry. Or you have to use Vassal 2.9.9, which is bad. It's up to 3.2.15. It's very, very good. There's release notes if you want to see them all. This is what it does. Ta-da! Okay, we're not going through that. But there are release notes for it, so you can check all that out as well. You can see there's a lot of news going on. This is today. It's the 3rd now. But there's stuff going on. There's new modules all the time, and there's a ton of modules. So what can you do? Well, the download, obviously. There is some documentation if you want to go through the documentation. Those are the docs. It's basically just a wiki. There's a forum and an actual wiki. Then there's a bug tracker. There's news. You can chat. You can get help if you need help, but we don't need help. And then there's a list of modules. So the modules list, these are all different games that you can play with Vassal. Every single one of these. These are all board or card games, or some of them actually, you could create your own game with Vassal. You don't need to have a previous board game. I didn't even know Android Netrunner was a choice. So you can get all of these different modules. Look at this. This is just A in the beginning of B, plus all the numbers. There's a lot of different stuff here. My God, there's 18xx. 18xx games are rail games. They're actually kind of cool. And you can just do modules. You can go by publisher, you can go by era, you can go by topic, you can by first year public, sorted by scale. I don't even know what that means. But there's a ton of them. Thousands upon thousands. So, of course, I went to publisher because I'm looking for Fantasy Flight games. Went to Fantasy Flight Games because I know they publish Battlestar Galactica, so there it is. And then you'll notice that they have all these different expansions that are mentioned as modules. If you click on that itself, you get this thing. You found out that it's actually, it's an extension of the module. So that's cool. So modules can be extended by other things. It's kind of ridiculous. So like just looking at Fantasy Flight games, these are what you can get. You can get a Game of Thrones, the board game, Android Netrunner, Arkham Horror, and all the expansions. You can get Battlelore 2nd Edition, Battle of Westeros, which is Battlelore in Westeros. You can get Battlestar Galactica, Blood Bowl Team Manager, which is it's a cute little card game, actually. We could talk all about card games for ages and ages. I love them. I gotta turn on the music in my ears. I know it's probably fine for you guys, but I feel like it's been really loud for me all day. I don't know why either. I guess I was on the floor more useful. I was out of my office, which is not usual for me lately. I've been in my office most of the time, so it's a little louder maybe, and I don't know. Whatever. Continuing on. So, Cast and the Old World. Look at all these games. I love the fact that Twilight Imperium is on here. We might have to play that, because that's a great game, but it takes a very long time, so if you could play it online, turn-based, that would be pretty good, honestly. I'm surprised to see Talisman is not in here. Probably because there's an actual Talisman online game. That could be. Fantasy Flight game is very good about letting you do stuff like this, so you can play games online. The whole crux of the situation is that you're supposed to own the games already, which is, honestly, I think a fine rule. But what this also does is they realize that people are going to download this and try it first, and then get them more play, which is good. One of the things they do is they ask anyone that's doing online games for games that they don't already support, is that you blank something. So in Battlestar Galactica, the loyalty cards are supposed to be blanked. That's the whole point. And so you need to be able to, in order to play Battlestar Galactica, which we'll find out in a moment, you need loyalty cards. And if they're blanked, then you've got to find them. So you have to own them. Now, as it turns out, we all own it, so it's not like it's a problem. But it's actually I have 2 copies somehow over the years. Cards wear out, man. So we're more than covered. So that's Vassal. So when you actually get it installed, I'm going to do something. Oh, by the way, I'm doing something for the very first time. I have never before changed a scene during recording. I hope this is going to work. But when you install Vassal and run it, this is what you see. I think this worked. And this is the actual Vassal library. Now, the only modules I have are Battlestar Galactica and the Vassal tour. There's a tour that shows you what you need to do right here, and it's a pretty good beginning tutorial. We don't want that, of course. But then we have the Battlestar Galactica module. If you come into the tools here, you can see that you can check the server status, because if you're going to play online, you need a way to have that. So there's a server provided. And then you can open modules, you can edit the modules, you can get a new module, you can import them, you can set your preferences, all this kind of stuff. So we're going to open Battlestar Galactica, and you just have to double click on it, and it opens Battlestar Galactica. It takes a minute. There's a lot to load, so we'll let it take a second here. Now, what you can't see is that it has popped up with a welcome screen. It's like a little bit of a wizard, and you can start a new game offline, you can look for a game online, or you can load a save game. I'm going to start a new game offline, and then when I get into there, I'm going to join as player 1. Then I'll be able to switch, because I already have Vassal set up for when the game is actually in play. It actually you might see it pop into place. We'll see. This takes a long time. The Battlestar mod is very big. Yep, there it is. You can see it trying to pop into the background. I always have to change the screen size for this for some reason. It does not remember my screen size, so that's kind of annoying. But there it is. We're good to go. So you can see I still have a bit of a black bar underneath. I don't know why. Here, I'll try and make that a little bit bigger for it. There you go. So now we've got that in place, and I'll go ahead and hide the Vassal loading screen. We don't need that anymore. But this is what it is. So you can see that Vassal provides you with a log of everything that's happened. So it's very hard to see, but Battlestar Galactica FFG version 4.4.8, that's a module version. That starts, all 4 extensions are loaded, and then certain things always happen when you load a new game, because this is essentially how it sets up everything that goes along. Oh, excuse me. So when we play, I minimize this quite a bit, because you don't need that. What you need is the board. So you can zoom in on the board, and it makes it much, much easier to see. So now we have our board here. And the nice thing about Vassal is pretty much anything in the entire game has a right-click context menu. So I can click on something, right-click. Of course, this one is broken because it hates me. Actually, I think you have to be in the game for that one to work. But you can increase and decrease the dial, so increase the dial, decrease the dial. And the cool thing is, a Roomba would love this, there's keyboard shortcuts for everything. So and you can see everything creates a log entry. And this is how you can save games. What happens when you save a game, you don't save the game, because that would take a lot. You save the log. And so when you load the log file, it runs basically through every step and recreates the board, which is really cool. You could do that for everything. You could also drag and drop, so I'm going to drag and drop that on the board. There it is. Drag and drop, put it back. So there you go. All that stuff has been off board. I killed it. Put it back. Yep, it's definitely killed. That's fine. We're gonna set something new anyway. Or I can do that, and I can say put those in the game box. I can remove those. Blah blah blah. Whatever you need to do to set up the game. You can roll dice. It changes down there, and it also shows in the log, so you know what you roll. You could draw cards. Draw them into your hand. There is a hand that I could show you, and we'll talk about how all this works, basically, in the context of a Battlestar Galactica game. What is the point of Battlestar Galactica? Well, Battlestar Galactica is a show that was on the SyFy network back when it was still cool, although they are going in a very good direction. The change to SyFy, SYFY, huge mistake. Huge mistake. And they are starting to go back with a new CEO to the SCIFI, which is the better sci-fi, and actually do some good things. Basically, the ending of Battlestar Galactica was the death knell for SyFy as the actual good channel that was meaningful, but it's going to go back that way. So anyway, that's soapbox. It's over here. I've stepped off of it. There was a show called Battlestar Galactica. It ran for 4 seasons. There were 2 essentially mini movies that happened as well, and it is following the story of humans who are on the 12 colonies of Kobol. Kobol being an ancient world that they left and settled on this 12 planet solar system, essentially, that happened to have 12 habitable planets. How lucky for us. And each one is a different tribe, essentially, from the original Kobol. And this is many, many years after the split of Kobol. We're talking thousands of years. And then in their mythology, there is Earth as well. So they come from Earth, the Earth that was, which is thousands of years older than Kobol. So all of these things happen to be where it's going along. Actually, I realized I just screwed up that mythology. Actually, Kobol, they leave Kobol to found the colonies, and there's a 13th colony or 13th tribe that went to Earth. I think that's correct. I'm embarrassed that I don't know that for sure. You can chastise me in the comments all you'd like. And that's the kind of conceit of the show. Aside from the fact that the humans are very, very smart and they create sentient robots. And, like all sentient robots, they perfectly toe the line and never have any problems. Well, of course they rebelled, right? So there's this huge war that happens before Battlestar Galactica, and it's because of this war that essentially we have Battlestars and we have these ships and things that will be able to attack the Cylons. The Cylons leave because we fight them back. And then we set up this peace zone. They do their own thing on their own planet. We do our thing on our planet. And then this is where I put in the spoiler alert. I'm not going to give away the plot of the whole thing, but there's certain things that you need to know to make this realistic. So if you plan to watch Battlestar Galactica, you need to stop watching this right now and at least go watch the first 2 episodes, because I'm going to spoil those 2 episodes right now. Okay, you back? Good. So what the central conceit is the humans have sent somebody to this midway mission point, essentially. It's like a space station. For years upon years. I think it's like 40 years after the initial Cylon War, if my memory serves me correctly. And maybe like 50 years. I don't know. It's somewhere in that kind of time frame. And the Cylons have never come back. So the whole point was that we were going to meet and hash out our differences so things would be okay. Well, then what happens in the first episode is that something comes back, and the Cylon Centurions come in, and they're these big, horrible robots, and then supposedly a human comes to join them, and it turns out that we find by the end of the episode, Cylons can appear as humans. There are 12 models of Cylons throughout the show, and you only learn about them slowly, so it's not an instant, everybody knows what's going on. The humans find out even slower than that. So some of the Cylons know who they are, and some of the Cylons have no idea. They're sleeper agents, and we go through that. And this game attempts to create that kind of environment of, I don't know if you're human, I don't know if you're a Cylon, but we're going to try and work together for our goals. So, if we do a regular setup of the game, it looks like this. It takes just a second to set up, and there it is. Pardon me. This pointer thing is stupid, so I'm going to delete it. I don't like it. Here's a basic setup of the game. These cards we could talk about later, so let's bring them all together and drag them over here. We'll talk about those in a minute. Let's just talk about the game board. This is what it looks like at the beginning of a game. And what we're going to do is each player plays somebody from the mythos of Battlestar, if you will. So if I come up here and go to characters, you can't see that, so let me add that in. We'll just keep changing this, I guess. That'll be the easiest thing. Character cards. Okay. Boom. So everybody gets to be a character cards, right? So we can see this. There's military leaders, there's pilots, there's political leaders, there's support characters, and there are Cylon leaders. If you play a large enough game, 5 players plus, although it's really better for 6 and 7 players, you can play with a Cylon leader. So this is somebody that everybody knows is a Cylon from the beginning. There's no hidden agenda thing, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But there is no hidden agenda. It just is a Cylon, but they might be doing something to help the humans, or they might be doing something to help the Cylons. Basically, they're in it for themselves. So what happens is somebody will be a particular character, and these are characters from the show. Every character has a number of things in common. One, they'll have a certain amount of cards that they draw every turn. So every turn at the beginning of the turn, William Adama here will draw 3 leadership cards and 2 tactics cards. And that'll happen every turn, with some exceptions, of course, because it is a board game, so things will change the rules as you go along. But for the most part, this is what you're going to draw. And these cards are useful because every one of them has some sort of an ability on it, and then a number of them can be played into what are called skill checks, and we'll get to skill checks in a moment. Each person also has 3 different abilities that are part of their character. One is something that's always available. One is something that happens only once per game. And then the third thing is actually a detriment to kind of round out their characters and make them more human. So William Adama here, he's an inspirational leader. So when he draws a crisis card, which we'll talk about, all 1 strength skill cards count positive, which is good because sometimes in skill checks, some things are positive and some things are negative. Well, in this case, even some of the things that would be negative would be positive. And basically, he's inspirational, so we have a better chance of making things happen. He also commands authority, so once per game, after you resolve one of those skill checks, instead of discarding the used skill cards, which you would do, he can actually draw them into his hand. Now, he still has a hand limit. We'll talk about that too. There's a lot of stuff we'll talk about. But he will be able to draw that into his hand. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on your view, he is emotionally attached, so he can't activate the Admiral's Quarters. And everyone is like that, right? So there's a number of different cards for each one. There's something like, I think like 30 characters, give or take. Let's see, what is that? That's 7 of the models. 5 is 12, plus 6, plus 7, plus 7. Actually, is this 7 as well? 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Yeah, so that's 21. 28 and 5 is 33. So there's 33 characters that you can from which you can choose. Okay, so those are the character cards. Well, let's talk a little bit about the turn. The turn is very, very simple. You have 1 movement, so there will be tokens on the board. So let's say we're going to be William Adama. Drag him down there. So there's his player card. We're going to have a whole list of them when we play, so you'll see all those out there. But excuse me, then there's also a piece that refers to him. I forgot. You drag the piece, not the name. So there's that piece that is William Adama, and you'll move around the board to all of these different locations. And so there is a movement step. If you move anywhere to a ship that you're already on, it's free. No cost to move. You cannot move to something that has the biohazard symbols, and you wouldn't want to move there anyway because that's the brig, and that's the sick bay. So if you're in those 2 locations, that means something bad has happened. We also have the Colonial 1, which if you watch the show, you're familiar with the Colonial 1. This right here is, you can move to it, but you have to discard one of those precious skill cards that you're going to need to put into skill checks to win skill checks to not have bad things happen in order to move to a different ship. There's also the Pegasus ship. Let me show you that. Okay, that's the Pegasus. It is very small. Let me blow that up. It's a little easier to see. So that's the Pegasus. This is a separate ship. If you watch the show, you know this comes about in Season 2. And it has 4 more locations. You can go to those. If you do that, of course, you'll still have to discard a card because it is a different one. In the version we're going to be playing, there's also a Cylon fleet board, which we'll talk about in a second. And there's also the ship, the Demetrius. The Demetrius is a special ship if you play with the latest expansion, which we're not doing in the live stream. So you won't see this, but this is another type of ship with 4 more locations of things that you can do. And again, we're not playing with that one, so you won't have to see that. That's if you play an extended campaign and go a little bit farther than the base game, which we're not going to do. Wow, 20 minutes in already. Crazy. Excuse me. Got to keep juiced. So we have all these different places that you can go to. You'll see there's Cylon locations. This can only happen when you become a Cylon. And in this game, this is a sort of hidden identity game. We're each going to have a loyalty card, and that loyalty card will say one of several things. So let me pull up that loyalty deck so you can see that. It's looks like this. This is the loyalty setup. So all the backs look like this. There's a certain number of human cards and a certain number of Cylon cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do exactly what it says not to do. And I'm going to return fan-made cards to the fan-made deck. Okay, there weren't any. Good. So I'll just flip this right out onto the main screen and flip it over. So this is a Cylon card. It says right at the top, you are a Cylon. So if you draw this card into your hand, you know you are a Cylon. Every You Are a Cylon card has a action to it. So I said there's a movement step. What I didn't say is that the second thing you do is an action. And that's it. That's your whole turn. One movement step, one action. And one of those actions that you can do is to reveal as a Cylon. You reveal the card, you say you're a Cylon, and now you can do Cylon-y things, like go to that Cylon location. And there's a bunch of things that will happen that we go through during the game. Basically, when you reveal as a Cylon, you discard all but 2 of your skill cards. You are sent to the resurrection ship because you've been discovered, so obviously the humans got to you. So you go to the resurrection ship, you draw a super crisis card, which is even harder to defeat than a crisis card, and then you can start doing Cylon-y things. In addition to that, you have the You Are a Cylon card right up there. During the course of the game, it's possible to get more than one loyalty card. If you reveal as a Cylon, you only reveal one of your loyalty cards, the one that says you're a Cylon, and then you give the other ones to someone else, basically casting suspicion, which is kind of nice. Most of the You Are Not a Cylon cards and all the ones that we are playing with in our version of the campaign are just plain old You Are Not a Cylon. We call this the Fonz because it looks like he's Fonzie. Hey! He's about to hit that jukebox, get it going, right? So, You Are Not a Cylon, and those are the 2 types. And there's 7 different You Are a Cylon cards, so there's 7 different abilities. So, can I return this to the deck? Okay, so you guys probably saw what I was doing long before I actually did it. Oops! I was such in Vassal mode, I hit the hotkey, which was return to box. And, oops, that's also my stop recording hotkey. So, never use that hotkey. I'll have to remember never to use it in the game. Thankfully, it hasn't come up, but that could be disastrous if I stop recording in the middle of the game and don't notice, because it's not like I can bring that back. But I can actually talk about what I missed. So, thankfully, I only missed, like, a minute. Maybe less than that, because eventually I tried to put the other thing back in the box, and that's when I noticed. I said, why does the timer say 2 minutes? So, I noticed it after that, but I realized that's when it happened, was the double hotkey. So let's just jump right back into it and talk about what we're doing here. So we talked about the actions that you can take on the card. So now we'll talk about what's actually on the board. If this is a repeat, obviously I'll just edit this out. I don't know, but the sick bay is not somewhere you want to go. You're sent to the sick bay based on certain results of crisis cards, and we'll talk about those. Believe me, we'll get to all of this. The sick bay, the detriment is you can only draw 1 skill card during your skill step, and normally you receive 5. So this is a pretty big penalty. You can freely leave the sick bay though, so there is no problem to actually leaving, as you go, which is great. The brig is another location that you are sent to. You cannot willingly choose to go to the brig, although there are kind of ways to get yourself there. You cannot move, draw crisis cards, or add more than 1 card to a skill check, so that's a pretty big detriment. Obviously, if you're thrown in the brig, you can't leave. The other thing is that you have very limited influence, so you can only add 1 card to skill checks. Normally, as a human, you can add as many as you'd like. There is an action available in the brig, and the action is to activate a skill check, which is represented by these colors and the number on the left. And if you pass it, then you can leave, and you can go where you need to go. The Armory, this is where you can attack Centurions on the boarding party track. There are Centurions in this game. If one of them happens to get on board the Galactica, they will start here on the track, and they'll come all the way happy to Unkidory all the way to the end. If one of them gets to here, then the humans lose. There can be more than 1 on a given spot. There is no limit, except that it is piece limited to 4 total. So all 4 of them could be on 1 spot, and they'll move along the way. And they're activated by certain crisis cards. If they get to the end, the humans lose. If any of these dials get to 0, the humans lose. If there are 8 spots damaged on Galactica, the humans lose. If, there's got to be another situation. Oh yeah, if for some reason all of the characters are assassinated or executed or somehow die, and you cannot draw another one for the human players, the human slayers lose. That, I don't think has ever happened. I think it was put in a game in the rules in the base game, when there were much fewer characters to choose from. With 33 characters, although I guess 7 of them are leaders, so with 26 characters, it's highly unlikely that you're going to go through them all before the morale drops to 0, because when a human player is killed, morale drops by a point. So I can't even think about getting 16 positive morale, but it is a losing condition, so it is a way you can lose. Is there another way to lose? Those are pretty much the big ones. If there are other ways, I can't think of it, and I'll come up with them later. Okay, so we talked about the Army. The research lab is very simple. Draw 1 engineering or 1 tactics skill card, so it's just a way to get cards. The communications lab, that lets you look at the back of these ships. So these ships, you can flip them over. That's not one of my hotkeys to end recording. And you can see that they have representations on them. This one has no numbers or representation, which is good. This has a population and a fuel. And you get used to all these symbols. I mean, they're right up here, right? There's the fuel symbol, there's the population symbol. So you know, if this ship is destroyed, that's what you will lose from your dials. So normally they are played face down, but if you go to communications, you can look at them. You can't show them to everybody, but there's ways to draw them into your hand. So you can look at them and then you put them back. Either in where they are, or you can move them 1 space over, which is good, because if there's a bunch of Cylons coming down to try and kill them, then you can get them out of the way. Weapons control lets you shoot at any Cylon ship. That includes a base star that is considered to be a Cylon ship. FTL lets you jump the fleet a little early. There's a jump preparation track. It goes down along. If it is increased all the way past auto jump, then the fleet will jump. But anywhere in these 2 blue sections, we can jump it early by hitting the FTL control at a possible risk of population. So there's a die roll, and if it doesn't succeed, you lose 3 population here, and you lose 1 population there, which would be unfortunate. You could go to command. This lets you activate 2 unmanned Vipers, so there could be actually player characters in the Vipers, or there's NPCs, essentially, that are in your Vipers. These are the good guy ships, and you can activate them to do numerous things. You can move, you can fire, you can escort these ships off the board to try and protect them even more. And that's what that is. Admiral's Quarter lets you throw somebody into the brig, so you choose a character, you do a skill check, which is represented by these colors and the numbers, and if it passes, that character goes into the brig. You can choose yourself, because it does not say choose another character, so you could try and send yourself to the brig. If you try and do that, most people are going to work to not send you to the brig, because you probably are a Cylon that has a special power that is only in the brig, so that's very unlikely to do that. There are some other cards in this game. There are mutiny cards that would give you a reason to go to the brig as a human player, but it's still incredibly suspicious. The Hangar Deck, this is where you can go to launch yourself into a Viper if you have piloting, if you have a piloting skill, so that's one of the 5 colors here, it's red. If you have that as something that you draw at the beginning of your turn, you are considered a pilot, and then you can go out into a ship, and you can go. You have to have ships available in the reserves. Damaged ones can't go out, obviously, but if they're available in the reserves, you can launch into here and start doing mayhem along there, and you also get an action, so putting yourself into space is not a major detriment. You still get to have 1 action afterwards. That's the main Galactica battle spaceport. Up here on the Colonial 1, there's a bunch of things you can do. There's a quorum chamber. If you're the president, you get to draw a quorum card. That's a special deck that lets you do special things. You draw 1 card, and then you can either draw an additional card, or you can play 1 from your hand, which is good. The quorum cards all have action on them, so you could just play a quorum card even if you're not in the quorum chamber, but it's more effective to be in the quorum chamber because then you're constantly replenishing, which is what a president wants to do. With the press room, you give somebody else a mutiny card. In this case, you cannot draw 1 yourself. You must choose another player to draw a mutiny card. If they get to a certain level of mutiny cards, they don't have to go to the brig. Normally that's 2. If you would draw a second mutiny card for whatever reason, you would go to the brig and discard a mutiny card. Well, in this case, they don't have to go to the brig. You're just giving them another mutiny card. They pick 1 and discard it. And then you get to discard 1 of your own, which makes it harder to send you to the brig. President's office is just a way to get more cards. And then the administration is how you can get a new president. So you draw a mutiny card, and if the current president has a mutiny card, then somebody else becomes the president. Unless there's a card in play that prevents that, because it's a board game, so there are lots of things that change it. If you become a Cylon, there's a bunch of things you can do. You can come up to Caprica to play your Super Crisis card, or you draw 2 of the normal Crisis cards, choose 1 to resolve it, and there you go. You could do the Cylon Fleet, which activates all Cylon ships of 1 type on the board, or you can launch some more ships from the base star. You can do the Human Fleet, which lets you look at the top card of the Crisis or Destination deck and then either place it at the top or the bottom, then draw 2 skill cards. And if we were playing with Cylon leaders, you can infiltrate Galactica, but we will not be doing that, so we're not going to talk about how that works. And then the Resurrection ship is just kind of like the sick bay for Cylons, so when you get there, you only get 1 skill card during your draw step. Cylons normally get to draw 2. And then as an action, you can draw a Super Crisis card. So you can draw it here, but you can't play it until you go to Caprica. So these are all the actions on the main game board. There is, of course, as I mentioned, the Pegasus. The Pegasus as a game board. What happened to the Pegasus? Pegasus! There you are. So the Pegasus, right here, Has 4 options as well for things that you can go to. The CIC lets you shoot at a location to try and destroy a base star. This will let you airlock somebody, which is an actual execution, which is really hard to say if you're not thinking too clearly about it. And that will get rid of their character. Now, players, when your character is executed, you're not out of the game. It's not player elimination, so you just pick a new character. Unless you're a Cylon, and then you feel that you're a dirty, rotten toaster and you go to the resurrection ship. So you can airlock somebody. The main batteries let you destroy a bunch of raiders all at once, which is good. The engine room guarantees that there is a jump icon on the crisis card, because not every crisis will let you advance the jump track. Some of it will make you stay where you are, which is a little annoying. Those are the main locations. There's also a Cylon fleet board. I will make that bigger before I put it on screen, because I know you're not going to be able to see that. So the Cylon fleet board is right here. That also has an action space. Only Cylons can go here, and if you do that, you choose 2 of the actions. And I talk about this when we get there, so I'm not going to go into it detail right now. It does have a pursuit track, so this lets you know when we jump, all of these ships would come onto the Cylon fleet board into their appropriate locations, and then as it goes along, you would figure out, or this would go up as we add more to it, and eventually there's an attack button, and they all come right back onto the board. So that's the Cylon fleet board. All right. So those are all the locations that we're going to see in our base game. There are more ships that are available, but we're not playing them today or tomorrow, as it would be. We're not going to bother looking at them, especially since this combined video is at least already 30 minutes long. Getting into the home stretch now, though. That's the dice of joy. So we're getting into the home stretch to talk about what all these pieces are and what they do. So in this game, there is a hand. Let me pull up my hand. It will be empty, but that is the hand screen. So if I draw things into my hand, then we're good to go. So draw to hand, draw to hand. You can see they come up. These are what all the skill cards look like. So they all have some sort of text. Like this one says you could play it before skill charts are added to a skill check, and it does things to the skill check. That actually does things in a skill check because it says skill check. These little pictures are just telling you what set it's from. And they all have some sort of power. So what's the power? Well, in this game, you're going to be drawing from a crisis deck. And I'm not going to show you what the crisis deck is because it's just a box with a deck of cards. So what they look like is something like this. So I'm going to bring out a few of them just so you can kind of see. So this is a good example of a few of these things. And what all of these have in common is that they all have a Cylon activation on the left. They may have a fleet jump prep token on the right, which you can see 3 of them do and 2 of them do not. Some of them give you a choice. So in this case, the Admiral chooses, the CAG chooses, that's the Commander of the Air Group. The President chooses, which is awesome, and current player chooses. This is cool. Actually, these are the 4 types of choices you can have. So all of these types of choices. And then here's one that you have no choice. You have to do what's on the card. So whoever's current turn it is draws a crisis card, and if it says CAG chooses, they hand it to the CAG, and the CAG has to make a choice. If it says Admiral chooses, you hand it to the Admiral, and the Admiral has to make a choice. And all of these choices are usually difficult. There's not going to be easy sort of choices because we're the last 40,000 humans on the entire galaxy, and we have to survive against this threat. So you're going to have to make some tough choices. Let's talk about the simplest one first. We're going to start here. This is a skill check, right? So this is called Unexpected Reunion. They all have names at the top, and there is a power on the top left, and what we're trying to do is match that power. If you match or exceed that power, then you achieve the pass effect. So in this case, there is no effect. That's usually the best pass effect you can get, is that nothing happens. So that tells you what kind of cards these are. If you fail, certain stuff happens. So in this one, you lose 1 morale, which is one of the dials at the top, and the current player discards your entire hand of skill cards, which is unfortunate. To pass the check, you put skill cards into the skill check. There are 6 types of cards you can see here. There's Treachery, Politics, Leadership, Tactics, Piloting, and Engineering. They all have colors. And on this skill check, you can see that yellow, green, and purple are highlighted. Now, for those that are colorblind, they're always in the same order, and it's the same order as the cards that are on the bottom, except that Treachery has its own space, so it's very rarely positive. It's almost always negative. So it's just going to be the 5 primary colors that start. And I know some of them are secondary colors. Don't get started with me. So people are going to put these cards into the skill check face down, so you don't know who's doing what. Then at the end, the person whose turn it is will pull them out of the crisis or the skill check, tally them up, find the result. Anything that says skill check on it happens during the skill check, and then you go from there. I was just going to say something and I've completely forgotten what it is about skill checks. Darn. Oh, Destiny. There is a Destiny deck, so you can build a Destiny deck, and there's 12 cards. It's 2 of each type. So there's 6 types. There's 2 of each one shuffled up. 2 of those get added into every single skill check, every time you do a skill check. So even with the Brig, if you activate the Brig, that's a skill check. 2 cards get added in from Destiny. So there's always this chance that something may not be right. So you, as a Cylon player trying to play the hidden agenda, you might want to throw in a bad card. You might want to throw in some good cards to throw them off the scent, right? So it's all about those choices, how it goes in and out. This Kais is a current player chooses. It's Unsettling Stories, so it is a skill check, 9 yellow green, we would say. If you pass, there's no effect. That's common. If you fail, then -1 morale, and each player discards a skill card and draws a treachery card. Or the player could say, look, let's not do the skill check. We don't want to do a skill check for whatever reason, right? It could be because the consensus of the group is we don't want to do a skill check. Could be because there's Dirty Rotten Cylon and they'd rather do something else. Or you just lose 1 morale. So you don't have to go through the skill check. You just lose a morale. You know it's a tough choice. That's just what you do. Once whatever happens on the top happens, and then these are all the same. It's just a different person making those choices, and there's no skill check to choose from. So like this one is just +1 food, or excuse me, +1 food and -1 morale. Then the Admiral discards 2 skill cards and draws 2 treachery cards, or you just lose 2 food. It's kind of a tough choice, right? Morale can sink fast if you're not careful. That one activates some Cylon ships. This one has to do with you can actually get people out of the Brig if you wanted to, as the president, which is kind of nice. Or you lose a fuel and the president draws 2 quorum cards. Fuel is probably one of the tightest commodities in the whole thing, so that might be a Cylon move. Or maybe you've got a lot of fuel and you don't have a lot of morale, so the president has to pick that. It's all tough choices. Once that's done, you activate the Cylon ship that's on the bottom left. Now, unfortunately, these are all exactly the same activation, and that just moves these guys. They'll always hunt for the civilian ships. If there are no civilian ships on the board, they will fire on the Galactica. It's very hard to hit the Galactica if you're a light raider, but it's possible. In addition to that, if they start their movement turn, or if they start their turn in a space with human ship, they have to fire on the human ship first before they can track them, before they can fire on Galactica. So those are the rules for that. Let's see if I can't find some more that show you what the different symbols are. That's a Heavy Raider activation. So we'd launch a Heavy Raider from any base stars that were on the board. They're seeking these tubes. If they can get to the tubes, they come on board. And that's what moves the boarding party track. All right. What else we got? That's good. This launches light raiders from each base star. So each base star launches 3 light raiders. I can't find... There we go. And that's the last one. That one is the base star fires on the Galactica. So all of that happens. Then if there is a burst on the lower right-hand side, then you increase this jump preparation track. And that's essentially a turn. So a human's turn is you receive skill cards. You may take a movement. If you do, you have the movement. And then you can take an action. You can't say give up your movement to take an action, although there's a card that lets you do that. There is 1 movement and 1 action. And then cards will break the rules of the game. That is essentially how it goes. I know I can discard without having to stop my recording. That's easy. I should have just discarded the loyalty cards in the first place, and that would have saved me the trouble. So, excuse me, that is essentially what you need to know to play Battlestar Galactica. Except that what happens on a jump. Sure. So on a jump, all of the human ships go back into the reserve. There is nothing left on the board except the civilian ships because they also have FTL, so they're hanging out with us. The Cylons go to the Cylon board. We talked about that in a second. And then the Admiral will look at the destination deck. Again, I'm not going to pull this window open because it's just another deck. And they'll look at 2 different cards. And they'll have to pick one of them. One of them goes back to the top of the deck. And the other one they're going to put in play as one of our destinations. And we can see there's a big 3 here. That means we've gone 3 distance. So we do what this says, which is to lose 1 fuel. Then you place 1 base star and 3 raiders in front of Galactica and 3 civilian ships behind because it's a Cylon ambush, which could be good and bad. It's really tough to say because now with Cylons on the board, the Cylon fleet pursuit tracker doesn't move. So you can kind of delay their massive attack if you have a small attack, right? So it's checks and balances, which is really cool. And there's always 2 cards that are drawn. We've gone 3 distance. The goal of the game, which I didn't put into play, I can do that. The goal of the game that we're playing with is called Cobble. And the goal is to get to 8. So you'll notice, resolve the following when distance is traveled. So 4. We've gone 3 with this 1 card. So if you've gone 4 or more, the sleeper agent phase, which just means we draw another loyalty card for the most part. So people that weren't Cylons may become Cylons. They didn't realize they were Cylons, but now they've woken up because they were sleeper agents before. And then at distance 8 or higher, the next time the fleet jumps, the humans win. So you don't have to hit 8 exactly. If you somehow like get 333, then you get 9, and that'll happen. The humans have to jump one more time, and the humans win. That is the only win condition for the humans, is to make it to distance 8 and jump one more time. There are many ways to lose. There's only one way to win, and that is how you play Battlestar Galactica. I know it's a lot. There's a lot to this game. It is a very complicated board game. It is a lot of fun. We play this almost every week in our weekly gaming group if we can get it off the ground. We certainly try and do it. A 7-player game of this is truly tremendous. We're going to be playing a 5-player game. So I've gotten 4 of my friends together. I'm going to be playing with Bear, not Bear Taffy. This is a different Bear. I'll be playing with my friend Bear, Lightbringer, who we've played with before on the Don't Starve for that one episode. We're going to be playing with him as well. I'm going to be playing with my friend Matt, and then my other friend George. So the 5 of us are going to be playing a 5-player Battlestar game. We've already recorded 5 episodes in. It's actually a lot of fun. We've probably got another 3 or 4 episodes to go before the game night goes, because we're doing 20-minute episodes. If we were doing 30 or 40-minute episodes, we could obviously squeeze in a little bit more, but we're going to stick with the same 20-minute content, because that's basically what we've established on this channel, except for this video, which is apparently 40 minutes, so maybe I'll break this one into 2 pieces, I don't know, and then I can hide the fact that I screwed up. Ha ha ha! That's not going to work. So this is what we're going to be playing. I'm going to release them as one video, let's be honest. So, I hope you have a new understanding for it. If it's still kind of confusing, come out and watch us play, because it's been, like I said, we've done 5 episodes. It's been a lot of fun. We're having a good time. I'm the only one. Just Light and I have a channel. He's not recording it for it. So unlike when Quill 18 plays, and then Briarstone and Enter Elysium and all record their own versions, all you're going to see is my screen. And because of that, and because I want to keep the mystery alive, I'm not going to show you my loyalty cards until the very end. So you won't know if I'm a human or a Cylon. You'll just have to base it based on how I'm playing, which is kind of cool. And it'll be just like you're another player kind of trying to figure it out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click the like button. It really does help. This will be the first video in the Battlestar Galactica series, so it really does help get those search rankings up, and get people interested to come back and watch it tomorrow when we actually start playing. And if you're watching this playlist decades later, then you know they're all in order already, but whatever. Definitely please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. We're up over 200 subscribers now, so that's really, truly awesome. And, until next time, cheers.